What's up, everybody? I am going on a Admiral Gibbs panel, I believe. And we're debating something dumb. Something about is our are Democrats authoritarian or some shit. I don't know. I haven't done a debate in a long time, so I just went ahead and took this one. If I could see chat. Yeah. I just want to. I didn't even check the freaking name.
That guy's children founded a
Shut up. Damn it. Why didn't Alright. Let's see if it actually updated. Yeah, it worked. Cool. Alexa, stop. Okay. And gotta test chat. Alright. 8 o'clock. Pull me in, Gibbs. This is today, right? I'm not like being an idiot. Tomorrow at 7, yeah. 7 p.m. CST. That's now. I swear, he might have found somebody else and just didn't have enough respect to tell me. Which I don't think would be like him. But we'll see. We'll see. Ooh, that's what I want to do. While I wait.
Fuck. Hey, check your DMs. Check your DMs. I didn't want you to think I was leaving you hanging.
Okay.
All right, bet. All right, I'm sorry. I'll be right back. Read that, and I'll text you there. All right, bet. Where's my thing here? Oh, I gotta rejoin.
So apparently the debate's not happening anymore. He didn't tell me. Apparently there's a group chat that was supposed to happen. Okay. That's annoying. That's very annoying because I've already went live. Like, what am I gonna do now? Okay, let's see what's going on with this debate. I don't even know if I'm gonna be available next Thursday. Ugh. You said you wanna... Alright, so yeah, looks like they've rescheduled the debate. That's lame. Ooh, that's not supposed to go on stream. Is there anything else I could do? There are some things that I wouldn't mind talking about, I guess. But let me... Do I already have a... No. Okay. I've been doing a lot of Discord debating recently. This is too big. Gosh, why did it do that? I've been doing a lot of Discord debating recently. Totally not as interesting as a regular debate. One of the things that I find often that I disagree with people on Discord is going to be, there's a lot of like, seems like there's a lot of, what are these people called? They're embarrassed millionaires on Reddit. Temporarily embarrassed millionaires. Every time I see this post right here, every time I see this post right here, all I need to do is go on there and be like, yeah, we should tax them more. Tax them more, close loopholes. And I get so many people that are against the idea of taxing people that have $2.5 million in their portfolios, which is insane to me. And like this comes from a couple of different places. This comes from one, people thinking that one day they're going to make that, which for some of them they might. Like, it's possible to get 2.5 million in a, it's possible to get 2.5 million in a in an investment portfolio just by saving up over the course of your entire life. But a lot of that isn't going to be capital gains, which is what I'm talking about taxing. A lot of that's going to be your initial investment, which is tax-free anyways, and I'm not trying to change that. So I don't really know why they think that they're going to be the special snowflakes that are going to end up with large tax bills as a result of this. What is the effective rate of somebody who makes $100,000? Standard deduction. So yeah, in this scenario, what I'm basically saying is that if you have this right here, $2.5 million portfolio, the 100K a year salary that comes from that's coming from the gains that your portfolio is going to make. The 100K that comes from that, I'm saying it should be taxed the same as income, right? It shouldn't be, capital gains tax should not be lower than income. That's weird as hell. Like, why the fuck are we doing that? So that's what I'm saying. And these people are saying, no, it shouldn't be. You're taxing ordinary people. I'm like, bitch, I'm an ordinary person. I already get taxed. There's nothing wrong with taxing ordinary people. But most people don't make $2.5 million in their life. Most people are not going to have $2.5 million in savings. Now, if you start when you're 18 and you're putting away like $7,000 a year when you're 18 years old, by the time you're like 60, 55, something like that, you can have a $2.5 million portfolio. But what fucking 18-year-old that's not coming from a Nepo house has $7,000 a year to put into a investment portfolio? I know my $17,000 a year ass didn't when I was working for Walmart. It was less than that when I was working in restaurants. And then as you get older, your expenses get bigger. You have children. I don't even have children, and my expenses are still huge. So yeah, what I'm saying is that $100,000 you should be taxed like income. People are reeing out over this, And one of the things that they say is, I want to be that person. I want to be the person with 2.5 million. Okay. What the hell is wrong with getting taxed 17,000? That's what it was, right? $13,000 to $17,000 a year on that $100,000. What is wrong with that? The other thing is that they'll do is they'll talk about how this is going to affect the normal person. Normal people are going to be affected by that, which is such a stupid argument. First of all, most normal people don't have $2.5 million in a bank account, like I said, an investment account. But also, normal people are already being taxed, as I said. And also, this post is talking about a stock portfolio, but you can actually make this if you put a $2.5 million into a high yield savings account, which is what a lot of normal people probably would do anyways, because they're not going to fuck around with stocks. Maybe through their 401k and their IRAs. That's what normal people have. That's how normal people make $2.5 million in their portfolio. Okay, what was I saying? Yeah, most people, if they have a $2.5 million portfolio, it's going to be in an IRA, it's going to be in a 401k, but probably a 401k, because the only way most normal people are making $2.5 million at the end of their working career is with a cash match 401k. Or they can have a high yield savings account. You can make $100K a year off of $2.5 million in a high yield savings account. So this whole time we're talking about like portfolios, and somebody brought up, well, you can do this in a high yield savings account. And you know what I learned? 401ks, IRAs, and high yield savings accounts, they already get taxed at the same level as income. What the fuck? These instruments that normal people use to be able to have a nest egg for retirement, to be able to save up, they get taxed at normal income rates, while the instruments that wealthy people use, stocks and such, they get taxed at capital gains rates. That is fucking ridiculous. What is the meaning of that? That is fucking ridiculous. The working class gets screwed while the wealthy get benefits. And then one of the ideas that I had was, one of the ways in which wealthy people will skip out on paying taxes is they will take their stock portfolio. So let's just say they have $500 million worth of stock, and they will borrow money from the bank at a low interest, 1 to 3%, and they'll use that money for their living expenses and pay back that money for the rest of their lives. Pay the minimum payment. For the rest of their lives. And they just keep doing that. When they need more for living expenses, they borrow against the stock, borrow against the stock, borrow against the stock. My idea was, whenever somebody decides they want to do that, you would step up the basis for which the stock portfolio, you will step up the basis in the stock portfolio. So what that means is that any interest that, any capital gains that your portfolio earns will be a part of the initial investment. So normally, if you put like $100,000 in stocks and that raises by 10%, so you got an extra $10,000. That $10,000 is capital gains. The $100,000 is your base investment. What I'm saying is that $10,000 would now become your base investment, but you got to pay taxes on it. So if you're borrowing against your stock, you got to pay taxes on the capitalization of that stock. The capital gains of that stock. And people were arguing against that. They were saying things like, well, this is going to affect normal people. Most normal people don't use this kind of loan. Only about 3% of normal people have over $1 million. Like only about 3% of Americans have $1 million. So this isn't like a vehicle that most normal people use. If a normal people is borrowing against a stock portfolio, they're usually borrowing against much lower values, which means that they have higher interest rates, which kind of defeats the purpose of borrowing against that stock portfolio in the first place, unless you need to in order to get that money. But most of the time you would just liquidate your stocks. So like that was a stupid talking point. And then there was, well, they'll just do this, that, and the other thing to avoid paying taxes. And I'm just like, okay, fucking close those loopholes too. One of the things that they said that they would do would move their stocks to an LLC and then borrow against that LLC. Okay, step up the basis of that stock that inside the LLC and make them pay taxes on. Like every single little thing that these people could come up with in order to try and justify not taxing wealthy people. I, as somebody who doesn't really know a whole lot about this, was able to just be like, no, this is fixable. This is how you deal with that. And it wasn't even hard. Now, there is an argument against that I heard today. There was actually a good argument against it. And that is that, while, yes, wealthy people do that kind of thing, it actually wouldn't generate a whole lot of revenue. How much? Good. Yeah, so it wouldn't generate that much revenue. It would be like anywhere between $30 to $50 billion a year, which is a lot of money. And honestly, I say go ahead and go for it. Because that's not nothing. But apparently just getting rid of the Trump tax cuts and maybe even the Bush tax cuts would generate more revenue. And eventually these people get taxed anyways. Because, well, I mean, if you close the death loophole, they'll get taxed. But if you don't close that loophole, then they just sort of die. And I don't think that they get taxed on a whole lot. Like the bank gets their money back. But they don't really get taxed. Because the rest of the portfolio gets passed down to their heirs. And that's tax-free up to a point, I think. Anyways, I don't understand the mentality of people who, for one thing, they think that being taxed is a punishment. That's not what it is. It's a revenue generating instrument for the government. And I want a government that has revenue because I want a government that's able to do things like provide for poor people, and provide defense for its citizens. And those are the two big ones. Education, infrastructure. I want a government that's able to provide for that. So, but they think that taxes is a punishment, that I'm trying to punish people. And they think that, like, in their world, and maybe these people are just rich and out of touch, but in their world, $2.5 million is like, everyone's just doing that. Like okay, that's just a thing that anyone can do. And maybe anyone or a lot of people can do it if they're living their entire 20s, their entire 30s, and their entire 40s, and most of their 50s on like a bare minimum shoestring budget. Who the fuck wants to live most of their life like that? And that's if you don't have kids. Fuck, if you have kids, holy shit. Anyways. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. And I want to kind of reply to some of these people anymore. Some of these people. I wonder if California has made up any of the California still. They've stopped losing people. Gosh, fuck. This fucking losing this debate fucking ruined my stream tonight. I really didn't have anything else lined up. I do want to start doing TikTok videos, but I don't. Hmm. Wait, did he say GDP or revenue? Oh, yeah, he's probably right about that. All right. He matches with. Okay. Okay, how is this relevant to my point? I never said most people use these loans. I said billionaires and ultra wealthy types are not the only people. And the reason so few Americans have stock is the upper middle class level. Most of it gets converted to real estate. People liquidate to buy homes. I don't understand why you think it's simple to living hell unrealized stocks, but you don't unrealize it. Don't understand why. So this guy is talking about what I was talking about earlier, stepping up the basis of stocks. When you go to borrow against them and taxing the capital gains then and there. For middle class levels, most get converted to real estate. Most of it gets converted to real estate, in which case they would get taxed. My world, capital gains taxes. Okay. I don't understand why you think it's reasonable to tax the living hell out of someone with $1 million in unrealized stocks, but don't think that we should do the same with someone with $1 million in unrealized real estate. That's if. We should have to pay taxes. If you Indeed. No option. All right. So yeah, this is one of those guys that was talking about how you shouldn't want to tax stocks, capital gains when somebody tries to borrow against it, because it would affect normal people, which it absolutely would not, and because the wealthy would just find other ways to hide their money, in which we would just close those loopholes too if they did. Basically, one of the things that he asked was, well, why wouldn't you do this with real estate? And my answer to that question is like, if it's an investment property, maybe you would do that. Like, I don't really have a good reason not to. But if it's somebody's home, like the property they live on, and that makes it a whole fundamentally different thing. Anyway, let me see if there's anything good to talk about. I'd made a list for TikTok shorts that I want to start. What the fuck? And let's see if any of those topics are good. If not, I'm just gonna hop off of here and probably go spend some time with my nieces. Because without the debate, this feels like a giant waste of time. Damn. All right, here's the thing. Actually, let me respond to this real quick. Alarm, I love you. Good night. Okay. Here is a thing. Let me set this up. Hold on a second. Give me a minute. Give me a minute. This is an old story, but bear with me.
So aware that President Donald Trump in the Oval Office is now starting to take questions from reporters at the White House following the signing of 2 executive orders. Let's listen in.
In the last 3 months, hard to believe this one too. In the last 3 months, we've had 0 people come into our country illegally through the southern border. Nobody would have said that's possible. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today, MS-13 gangbanger and human trafficker Kilmar Abrego Garcia turned himself into ICE in Baltimore.
Okay, I don't know who the fuck that. Okay, hold on. Let me show this. I don't know who the fuck that was. Okay, this is just like an example that I was able to pull up. This I want to remind everybody. Abrego Garcia. What was said about him? Actually, let me see. And is there any quotes in this AI result? Can you just give me some quotes? I need to set the scene. I need everyone to remember what was said about this man. What happened to this man? Do y'all remember what happened to this man? He was picked up from the streets. He was here. He was allowed to be here. I think that he was pending some sort of hearing or something. So he was allowed to be here. He was picked up from the streets and sent to a Argentinian torture camp, torture prison, concentration camp, if you will. Trump administration officials and representatives described Kilmar Abrego Garcia as a dangerous MS-13 gang member, with President Trump stating that he is not innocent, wonderful gentleman, and calling him a bad guy. Do y'all remember that? When people were calling him the Maryland dad, and people would and the right would make fun of it. MAGA would make fun of people calling him a Maryland dad. Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt criticized media coverage of the case as despicable, while DHS stated he will never go free on American soil. So this is Trump's DHS saying that he would never go free on American soil. Further details of these statements can be found in the reporting in First Amendment MTS.eu. I wonder if that's gosh, I'm getting sidetracked now. I want this to be smoother so it can make a good video. On attacks in New York. Responding to coverage of Kilmar Abrego Garcia's deportation, the Trump administration has called journalists despicable, questioned CNN patriotism, scolded Fox News, and even admitted to a mistake in admitting to a mistake in the first place. Do y'all remember this? Do y'all remember what happened? This is how fucking insane like this administration is, because this shit was the beginning of his admin, and we just sort of all forgot about it. But do y'all remember that a U.S. attorney admitted they made a mistake in deporting Abrego Garcia? That's kind of the reason why he became like the focal point for the left, because the administration actually admitted that they made a mistake, and they fired that man. They fired that man for admitting they made a mistake. The vigorous reaction was noteworthy, even in service to a president known for never breaking down and a hostility towards the press. The song is the same, said former CNN Washington Bureau Chief Frank Senso, but the volume is a lot louder. President Trump has fought the press on several fronts since returning to office in January. I think that this is just about Trump's attack on the press. This is why I don't go off on side tangents. I should have just stuck to the AI summary, although the AI is getting this information from here. When the media won't report the facts, it is on the Trump administration to report the facts directly to the public, and I think they've done so effectively. So my question is what facts were they trying to bring to the public about this man? That's not a good source. Goodness gracious. I need direct quotes about the man. So they here's a few. He beat the hell out of his wife. His wife is afraid to even talk about him. She's been mauled by this animal. They called him an animal. If he were the gentleman that you say he is, I would do that. Why don't you just say it? Isn't it wonderful that we're keeping criminals out of the country? So they're calling him a criminal. From the White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt, Abrego Garcia was never an innocent Maryland man. So this is still making fun of the Maryland man talking points on the left, who has spent his entire life abusing innocent people. They're claiming that he spent his entire life abusing innocent people. There's never going to be a world in which this individual who's going to live a peaceful life in Maryland, he'll never live in America, the United States of America again. These are all things that they're saying about him. Did they? Trump administration's Homeland Secretary DHS representatives accused Abrego Garcia of human trafficking and being a child predator, though they did not explicitly use the exact same phrase as trafficking. Let's see what this is. DHS calls out secretary politicians for standing with Kilmar Abrego Garcia and MS-13 gang member. So this is from the DHS website, Trump's DHS website. Gang member, human trafficker, wife beater, and a child predator over the safety of the American people. Okay, I think this is the kill shot right here. This is to set the scene of what the Trump administration was accusing this man of. This right here. MS-13 gang member, human trafficker, wife beater, child predator. This is what they were accusing this man of. What did they charge him with? What did they charge him with? U.S. Department of Homeland Security, DHS, stated August 25th, 2025, that Kilmar Abrego Garcia was arrested for federal immigration violations. While the official press release explicitly labels him in the headlines as MS-13 gang member, human trafficker, wife beater, and child predator, the specific processing reason provided for his arrest at the ICE facility is federal immigration violations to deport him to Uganda. So what they were charging this child predator in their minds, this child predator for, was just immigration violations. They sent this man to a torture prison in Argentina, called him a child predator, a wife beater, a gang member. And the only thing they charged him with was immigration violations. Which, for the Trump administration, I'm not surprised that they're not worried about the child predator part. That is not a surprising fact for me. But it should be disqualifying. Anyways. And what ended up happening with this case? What ended up happening to this man that the DHS was calling a child predator, sent to a foreign torture camp? Judge dismisses criminal case against Kilmar Abrego Garcia. It was fucking dismissed. This man that they said would never be set free in the United States, that he was a child predator, all of it was bullshit. Now, to be fair, I haven't actually read this article, and I don't know why it was dismissed. Maybe it was some bullshit processing issue. Maybe. We'll see. U.S. judge dismissed the criminal case against Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who was wrongfully deported to a MAGA president in El Salvador last year. It wasn't Argentina, it was El Salvador. I am so sorry, that was misinformation. Abrego Garcia, whose deportation became a major flashpoint in the debate over the Trump administration immigration agenda, returned to the U.S. Ooh, I thought he was never going to be set free in the U.S. ever again. In June, after the government admitted to have wrongfully sent it back to his native country. After his return, the federal prosecutors charged him with human smuggling over a 2022 incident in Tennessee, where he was found to have several people in his car during a traffic stop. He pleaded not guilty. Oh, so they did charge him with human smuggling, not child sex trafficking, though. Very important distinction. On Friday, the federal judge dismissed the case and said Abrego Garcia had been charged for political reasons. The court does not reach its conclusion lightly, U.S. District Judge Waverly Crenshaw wrote in her opinion. She said the case was only launched to justify the government's decision to deport the 30-year-old. The judge also said the Trump administration had failed to rebuke the presumptions of vindictiveness. The objective evidence here shows that absence of Abrago's successful lawsuit challenge his removal to El Salvador, the government would not have brought this prosecution, the Tennessee judge said. The executive branch closed its investigation on November 22nd, 2022, traffic stop. Only after Abrego Garcia succeeded in vindicating his rights did the executive branch reopen the investigation, the opinion reads. The Justice Department yet commented on the Friday's decision. In the past, they're not going to, unless directly asked. But the entire country has completely moved on from this topic. But they're not going to. This is an embarrassment for them. This is not only an embarrassment, it's evidence of them grossly violating basic human rights for the people that are residing in their country. So of course they're not going to mention it. The Justice Department yet to comment on Friday's decision. In the past, federal prosecutors have argued the case was apolitical and the charges were only brought because the evidence pointed to Abrego Garcia having committed a crime, except they've already closed that case. They looked into this incident. They closed that case in 2022. Abrego Garcia is married to an American citizen and had been living in Maryland for years. Illegally came to the United States from El Salvador when he was a teenager. He was a fucking teenager when he came here. Most of his life he had been here. And it's my understanding that he came here to get away from gang violence in the first place. In 2019, he was arrested with 3 other men in Maryland and detained by federal immigration authorities. At the time, the judge granted him protection from deportation on the grounds that he could face persecution by a gang in his home country. But the Trump administration deported him to El Salvador in March 2025, prompting an order from the U.S. Supreme Court requiring the government to bring him back. He was held at CCOT, a notorious El Salvador mega prison, for months after the court ordered his return to the U.S. He was brought back only after the government had secured the human trafficking charges against him. On his return to the U.S. last June, he was arrested and taken to Tennessee to face charges. Lawyers for Abrego Garcia then sought to dismiss him, arguing he was being vindictively prosecuted by the Justice Department. In August, he was arrested again in Baltimore during the immigration meeting and held in a detention center until another judge barred the move and ordered his release. A judge barred the government from removing Abrego Garcia to the third country while the case was ongoing, after reports emerged that the Trump administration was considering sending him to Uganda. Democratic Senator Chris Von Hollen, who visited Abrego Garcia while he was detained in El Salvador, fucking based, by the way, that man is a hero, celebrated Friday's announcement on X, Twitter. I still call it Twitter. Today, the federal judge determined what we've known all along. The Trump administration was engaged in a vindictive prosecution against Kilmar Abrego Garcia, Von Hollen wrote. This is a win for all our rights in the Constitution. Fucking insane. Fucking insane. They drugged this man. They put this man through hell for nothing. He didn't do anything. They drug his name through the dirt on live TV, lied about him being a child predator, or nothing. It's fucking insane. And I was supposed to do a debate today. The debate topic. The debate topic is the left lawless and tyrannical? Is the left flawless and tyrannical? What the fuck do you call what I just talked about but tyrannical? Holy shit. Nothing that the left has done pales in comparison to that. Anyways, I'm glad I got a chance to talk about that. Yeah, but since the debate's not happening, I'm gonna go ahead and get off of here.